mute myself.
Yes, if everybody will mute themselves. And I was asked to sing this song at some point and decided that this was a most excellent song to open this whole program with. So please sing with me, Let There Be Peace on Earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our power, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment right now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure, there we go. So welcome all. This has been quite a year. And in the midst of this pandemic, we are missing family and friends and the many activities of the holiday season. But we carry on. And you may have anticipated seeing our wonderful musician and a few others in person at the sanctuary of First Congregational United Church of Christ in Sarasota tonight. But a COVID test in our pastor's family this week and CDC guidelines for them to quarantine has moved us all to Zoom. So it's obviously 2020. The good news is that the Bixby family are feeling fine and are asymptomatic so far, so that's wonderful. The other good news is that Pastor Wes, who along with his family had planned our technology for this evening, is still our Zoom master, sitting in from home. And we cannot thank the Bixbys enough for their help, and they and the church for their support of this event, not just this year, but every year. So this is our fourth local vigil for the victims of gun violence. We are zooming in from all over the country, and it's different, but no less heartfelt. My name is Carol Resigno, and I've been Brady president for a little over 5 years, I think. And we work hard, as do all the grassroots Brady chapters around the country, to promote safe gun laws and programs. But tonight is about remembering the victims and the heroes. So I'd like to thank some other people who are here with us this evening. I hope that Chris Brown, our national president, has been able to come on, and Fred Guttenberg, our other speaker, Mindy Simmons, well-known Sarasota singer-songwriter, who joined us for our very first vigil too. I may have said that already. Our candle lighting team of Priscilla and Jim Crummell, with a special thank you to Jim, who, as the Brady Sarasota events team leader, organized this evening. Our publicity chair extraordinaire, Nancy Goethe, who always turns people out and gets us going. So I need to resend the Zoom link to Chris right now. So let me do this real quick. And in the meantime, I'm thinking, Mindy, if you have an extra song you'd like to just play in the background for a minute, is that okay to ask? I'm sorry.
Yes, I do. I have a chant that I sing at every festival. And it's so wonderful because it allows itself for 3-part harmony, and I didn't know how I was going to fit it in. This is called We Let the Love Wash Over Us. And then I combine it with the Beatles' Let It Be. It goes like this. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Divine Mother, she comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, words of wisdom. She says, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, oh, she is right here inside of me, speaking words of wisdom, words of wisdom. I hear, let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. 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 Let love be the answer. Let it be. Sing it with me. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let love be the answer. Let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. Everybody is clapping just quietly. I am honored now to introduce our National Brady President, Chris Brown, who joins us from her home in Arlington, Virginia. Chris has a background in policy and law and grassroots activism. She's been out there like most of us have. And she's been instrumental in organizing Brady's programs to the best possible advantage for the past several years. She has expanded Brady's influence by emphasizing the public health focus of gun violence and has become quite the dependable media star in the process. She's been on TV a lot this year. Be sure to take a look later at bradyunited.org, not just about our organization, but to see some of the videos that highlight her tireless work. So I will stop now and let Chris take it over.
Well, Carol, thank you so much. I'm in the epicenter of thought leadership here, which is my 11th grader's bedroom. So really happy to be with all of you. And Mindy, I was singing along. Thank you so much for that. We just did a podcast. Actually, I will mention that Brady has a podcast called Red, Blue, and Brady. And we did a podcast on the anniversary of John Lennon's death. That is really pretty special because we focused on something that a lot of people don't know, which is that the person who killed John Lennon actually talked to his wife at the time about his plans to do that. He lived in Hawaii, and he bought his gun in Hawaii, and he traveled with that gun from Hawaii to New York and carried out the assassination of John Lennon. What's more sad still in thinking about that is the reason that John Lennon and Yoko Ono lived in New York and not in England at the time is because Yoko Ono felt that they were horribly discriminated against. There was a lot of hostility to them as a couple, as an interracial couple, and they came to America for a better life. So I think it really reflects something very profound about where we are. And when you think about the fact that extreme risk laws, right, like the law that now is in Florida, that allows a family member or law enforcement to remove guns from individuals who are a hazard to themselves or others, only a few years ago did not exist in most states. And now 19 states, just think about that, and the District of Columbia have these laws. And it's not because Brady or any of the national organizations were talking about the importance of these laws, though certainly we were. It's because people like you were talking about the importance of these laws. And you were talking to your friends, and you were talking to your neighbors, and you were talking to the all-important state legislators and making them act. And so I just want to say on behalf of a national organization like Brady, thank you, each and every one of you who is participating tonight to honor the victims of gun violence, because ultimately this is a movement. It's not about any one individual. It's not about any one organization. It's about all of us working together to create a safer America. And that's the America that we all deserve. This is my third vigil today for victims of Sandy Hook and for many other victims of gun violence. And I know many of you, including my dear friend Fred, have been impacted personally by gun violence in a way that never goes away. And the thing that makes me most frustrated as a citizen of America about that is that for all of the freedoms and liberties that we talk about with America, and those are true, there's another truth that exists equally with that. And that is that we have a uniquely American epidemic, and it's gun violence. There is no other industrialized country on this earth that experiences the level of gun violence that we do and accepts it as a reality. And I'll just share a personal experience with you that brought me to this, that is my personal experience, and each of us have our own. I worked on Capitol Hill a long time ago in the 90s when Jim and Sarah Brady were roaming the hills or the halls of Congress trying to pass the Brady law. That was in the 1990s. And that law passed. And at the time, as a younger person, I thought that meant that we were actually ending the epidemic of gun violence. I went on to become a lawyer, have a career in the private sector, have children of my own, and then live overseas for many years in Switzerland in the corporate world. And when I was there, I was asked one question repeatedly by folks when they learned that I was an American, and that is, what's the deal with gun violence in America? And it didn't matter where folks were from, it didn't matter their background, it didn't matter their gender. That was the question they asked. And I realized over time, this thing that I had been engaged in and that I cared so passionately about still wasn't solved. It's just I got busy with other things. And that's the issue that we have. Folks get busy with other things, but we can't afford to really let that happen, because every day 100 people are shot and hundreds more are injured as a result of gun violence. We've lost more Americans to gun violence in this country than we have in all America's wars combined. And the thing that is really, really both hard to fully internalize with that, but also I hope hopeful, is that it's preventable. We can stop it, actually. We really can. We know what we need to do. It's not a secret. We need to expand laws at the federal level. We need to enforce our laws, which hasn't happened in the right way for a long time. And we need to change the social norms to make responsible gun ownership the way that every person actually walks around and transmits information about guns to each other. And we can do that. Brady is involved in all of those things. And for those of you who are on the front lines of this every day, I just want to say thank you so much for what you're doing, because I know it isn't often easy. And the importance of understanding that Brady is focused on Congress, courts, and communities is understanding that this is not a one-size-fits-all solution, right? This is an epidemic. This is a public health crisis. And the thing that really heartens me, and I think I share this with Fred and so many of you, Carol and others who are on this call, we finally, because of so many of you and others across this country, have someone in the White House who is going to embrace this as an issue, not only because it's the right thing to do, but because that's deeply ingrained as something that he understands, Joe Biden understands, will actually save lives. And those opportunities for us to change policy and materially improve our nation's laws are hugely important. So are the conversations that each of us can have with our friends, with our neighbors, about locking up guns. And honestly, all of these things have to happen in effect simultaneously. Carol, what you have done in Florida with the End Family Fire campaign is every bit as crucial to the actually saving lives as passing federal legislation. All of these things are really important. So what happens in Congress, yes, that's important, but what you can do in your local communities to actually ensure that people have these conversations with one another about guns in the home, and neighbors feel comfortable raising these issues with one another, are absolutely essential. And I'll just close with saying this. You know, MLK is credited with this quote, and he should be, because he is responsible for the quote, which is, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. All of you know that quote. It actually comes from an abolitionist, and if you look at the quote that MLK kind of synthesized into the quote that he did, you see why he was a genius. It's much longer than that. It started out much longer than that. And there's been a lot of discussion about that quote over the last few years, because it's one of Obama's favorite quotes, which is probably why it's one of mine too. The interesting thing about that I think about a lot is, yes, that quote is true, and it inspires me. I hope it inspires you. But part of the reason it inspires me so much is because the reason that the arc of the moral universe can bend toward justice is because people like you are pushing it. And you're pushing it every day in ways that you may know, I hope you do, and in a lot of ways, I bet you don't. But please, keep pushing. Keep pushing, because it's making a huge difference. And I can tell you, as a leader of a national organization all across this country, we are making a big difference. And sometimes that will feel like 2 steps forward and 2.5 steps back. But I can tell you that in the universe of gun violence prevention, we are really making change, and it can't happen soon enough. Because in the end, what keeps me going, given the number of people that I interact with who have been personally impacted by gun violence and lost daughters, sons, aunts, uncles, mothers, and fathers to gun violence, we have an obligation to each other. And in the end, I hope that there will be people walking around America today, tomorrow, and next year that without your efforts would not be with us. And I can tell you that that is very likely the case. So if you ever get discouraged, please do think about that. You are making a difference, and the difference you're making equates to human life. And I can't think of a worthier cause. So thank you so much, and it's just a pleasure to be with you. And thank you, Carol, for inviting me and for doing everything that you do and everyone involved with this cause.
Thank you so much, Chris. There are so many of us. We have a 7-person council, and they're all here tonight, I believe. And people do a lot of work, and it makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference. So tonight, as at all of our vigils here in Sarasota and most of the others, we remember the victims, those who died in mass shootings, like the Columbine and Parkland teenagers, and the little children at Sandy Hook 8 years ago on Monday, this coming Monday, like those who have died at backyard barbecues or concerts, or shopping centers or nightclubs like Pulse here in Florida. We remember the victims of domestic violence and street violence and police shootings, those who die in unintentional shootings when weapons have not been secured, as Chris just said, and the many, many people who die in suicides by guns every year. This year, we are also paying tribute to some of our Brady heroes. Sarah and Jim Brady, of course, the namesake of our organization, died within 8 months of each other several years ago. This year, we lost 2 national heroes of the gun violence prevention movement who were so important, Representative John Lewis of Georgia and Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And this year, we remember 2 of our own. Ed Gall, who died in August, just 11 days shy of his 100th birthday, was a lifelong activist who joined us at our Brady rallies most Thursdays until about a year before his death. And Will Simmons, one of our original Bayfront rally attendees, who would share his quiet presence and thoughtful conversation as we raised our signs to show Sarasota the importance of gun violence prevention. Will was proud of his family. I had so many conversations with him when I first started out there. He spoke so highly of his daughter, Mindy, who is providing our music tonight. So we are one big family. So Priscilla Crummell will now share the poem, 4 Candles, author unknown.
4 Candles by an unknown author. The first candle represents our grief. The pain of losing you is intense. It reminds us of the depth of our love for you. The second candle represents our courage. To confront our sorrow, to comfort each other, to change our lives. The third candle we light in your memory. For the times we laughed, the times we cried, the times we were angry with each other, the silly things you did, the caring and joy you gave us. The fourth candle we light for our love. We light this candle that your light will always shine as we share this vigil of remembrance with our family and friends. We cherish the special place in our hearts that will always be reserved for you. We thank you for the gift your living brought to each of us. We love you. We remember you.
This is a Holly Near song. I am open, I am willing to be hopeless, would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is hurting in my family, there is sorrow in my town, there is panic all across the nation, there is wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I am willing to be hopeless, would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly, may the elders be more wise, and may the winds of desert to hold my fear. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change, and so to honor those who go before us. Lift us up to the light of change.
Ah, that was stunning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll clap for everybody. So, Fred Guttenberg. Fred began his public life after the murder of his 14-year-old daughter, Jamie, in the horrific shootings at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School on Valentine's Day, 2018. He brought himself to attend a public vigil in Parkland the very next day, and the mayor asked him to speak, and Fred's words shook the nation. Fred may not remember it, but we actually met at a roundtable discussion called by Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz just a few weeks later in Fort Lauderdale. I can attest to Fred's passion then and since, as he has traveled the country, dedicating his life to honoring Jamie by talking about perspective, perseverance, and resilience, and by holding our leaders accountable for their actions and their inaction. He has appeared before Congress, is also a regular on television news programs, sometimes with Chris, and in online and print media. And he has recently published a book entitled Find the Helpers. Fred joins us from his home in Parkland, Florida. Fred.
I think I'm unmuted now, correct? All right. Thank you all for having me today. I'm sure I've met many of you as I've gone around the country. For sure, I've got to know my friend Chris exceptionally well. I'm beyond thankful for having her in my life. Let me start by giving you a little bit of my background. When I do these things, I don't write notes or speeches. I talk. I want people to feel what's really happening in me. And so the best way to do that is to just tell you, because, you know, people often say, I can't imagine how you feel. I hear it all the time, but you need to, because it could be you. It could be someone you love. It could be a parent, a friend, or a child that you know. And the work we do is to ensure that isn't the case. You see, a little bit about me. I'm a father who lives with guilt. I'm a father of 2 kids. My voice wasn't part of this until it was one of my kids. And maybe if my voice was part of it before that, I could have had the change in Florida before February 14, 2018 that we got, and my daughter would have been saved. You know, had some of the laws that we passed 3 weeks after Parkland been law before Parkland, like raising the age to 21, like red flag or extreme risk protection orders, my daughter wouldn't have been murdered. And so I live with guilt. It is this guilt that drives me. The first sentence of my book is, grief is love with no place to go. That's what grief is. I have my love for my daughter. It's no less today than it was before. But I'm still needing to find a way to express it. And as a father, as a parent, what do we do for our kids? We always react to what's happening. So here's my story. I'm a father of 2 children. I'll always have 2 children. I sent them to school on February 14th, 2018. And as a normal course, they were running late. I was rushing them out the door. That was typical. My son had to drive. He was the one with the license. And because they were running late, they were blaming each other and they were arguing. Very typical. And I'm rushing my kids out the door. You got to go. Got to get to school. And for the life of me, the one thing I don't remember saying as I rushed my children out the door that morning was, I love you. Because it was a typical normal morning. And I don't think I took the time to say those 3 words. I was too busy rushing them to where, as a parent, I expected my children to be safe, to learn. You know, the day was normal. It was like any other day, the typical text messages between classes, until just after 2 p.m. when my son called and he said, Dad. I said, what? There's a shooter at my school. And now my son is a jokester. So you don't always know when to take him seriously or not. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, there's a shooter at my school and I can't find Jamie. And as soon as he said that, I knew he was serious because he watched after his sister like a hawk. He may joke about himself, but he would never joke about her. And I asked him where he was. And I said, I'm running, but I can't find Jamie. I need to turn around. I said, no, you don't. You keep running. I'll worry about your sister. And as we're talking, he's telling me he's hearing more bullets. And those are the bullets on the 3rd floor that were killing his sister. And I want you to understand that, because while my daughter did not make it home that day, and while I visit my daughter at the cemetery, my son was a victim of gun violence that day too. And the families and the other students were victims of gun violence that day too. Chris, I was very thankful that you talked about the public health aspect of this, because gun violence isn't only about who we bury. You know, my daughter died on the 3rd floor. She was the second to last to be shot. She was running down the hallway from an armed shooter, running for her life. She made it to within 1 second of actually getting away. She was turning into the stairwell when a single shot, boom, into an from an AR-15 into her spinal cord. Single shot. Because of where it hit her in her spinal cord, it immediately stopped her heart. What if it hit her in a different spot and then she spent the rest of her life paralyzed? These are the realities and the big picture of gun violence that we have to grapple with as a nation. 40,000 people per year right now are dying. And candidly, I think 2020, when the numbers come in, it's going to be worse. When Jamie was murdered, the estimate for weapons that were known to be in the streets of America was approximately 300 million. We're now looking at closer to 400 million. Okay. We're looking at, because of this pandemic, all of these new first-time gun owners who are going through terrible times in their life, who, while maybe they won't turn those guns on someone else, but they might turn it on themselves. In fact, in Florida today, the news broke that October saw a dramatic increase in the number of new gun applications. In fact, it was an all-time record. People are running out to buy guns, partly because of the pandemic, partly because they're afraid of this political environment, but they're running out to buy guns. That is not going to lead to less gun violence. Forget what the gun lobby wants people to believe. It's going to lead to more. And so, thankfully, this country did something on November 3rd. I often say this country does a terrible job of voting. And by that, I don't mean we vote for the wrong people. You can debate that with whoever you want. But what I do mean is not enough of us vote. And because not enough of us vote, we do end up with extreme positions and extreme people. And this November 3rd, people showed up to vote. And because of that, we have a president who is empathetic, compassionate, decent, civil, and who believes in doing something about gun violence, who will make it a day one priority. Together, the work that groups like Brady does, and the other groups, and people like me, together, we and my daughter, because I am her voice, are going to save lives. We are going to reduce the gun violence death rate. You know, I've never been more hopeful and optimistic. I have to be honest with you. And Chris has heard me talk about this. But because I've traveled this country, forget the noise, forget the amped up rhetoric that's happening in this moment. I meet people across this country who want to do something about this problem in the most amazing, decent, and civil way possible. It is, in large part, why I wrote a book about not just what happened to my family, but about the people who have become a part of my life and carried me forward. In your introduction, you mentioned the vigil that I attended on February 15th. That night, I described what happened the morning I said goodbye to my kids, but I also described feeling broken. I described how I felt that night, and I'll never forget my final words. I don't know what I do next. That's how I ended that speech that night. But I figured it out because of amazing people who stepped into my life to lift me, to carry me, to embrace me, but also to lift, carry, and embrace my wife and my son. And so I don't get my daughter back. I'll always have to go to a cemetery to be physically close to her. But my daughter had a favorite saying. She was a competitive dancer. And this was the saying that motivated her, and it motivates me now. Dreams and dedication are a powerful combination. And I have a dream of ending the gun violence epidemic in this country. And with the amazing people like you and others across this country, I am dedicating the rest of my life to doing that. We are going to do it. Our children, our parents, our friends, our cousins, our aunts, our uncles, we're going to get to a place where we can step outside without fear of being shot. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to fight with you. Our lives are worth it. We're going to do this. And so hang on, because this next year, we're going to get gun safety legislation signed. So with that, I appreciate you having me on tonight. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you, Fred. What an awesome testimony. Thank you so much. It's an honor to hear you speak, and my heart goes to you and your wife and your son and all of the people who are victims, having lost a loved one. This is a Bill Withers tune, and it's the strongest song that I know in reflection of what you've just said. Sometime in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. So lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. problems, that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean, swallow your pride. If I have faith, you need to borrow, for no one can meet those of your needs that you won't let show. So call on me, sisters, if you need a hand, 'cause we all need somebody to lean on. And I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. So lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'm gonna help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Lean on, just lean on me. You know you can lean on, you can lean on me. Call me and lean on, you can lean on me. Come on now, lean on me.
Mindy, thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful, heartfelt words. I am Wes Bixby, the pastor of First Congregational Church, and we're delighted to have hosted this vigil, this gathering of 50 of us here tonight on holy ground, connecting to each other. For the closing reflection, I just want to offer a couple of words, and all that's centered around one word, the word movement. We heard that early on. Movement can be something within us. And what we've heard tonight, I think, stirs all of our hearts and souls. Move to remember the people who have died due to gun violence. A movement that we felt during Fred's powerful and passionate testimony, a witness to his daughter and her legacy that continues to live on in him and inspire him and inspires us here tonight. The poem that Priscilla so beautifully read as Jim lit the candles, that would continue to move within each one of us. And of course, Mindy, your music tonight has moved us deeply. And I pray that that movement you've felt will continue to stir within you this day and throughout the days to come and into the new year. Continue to hold on to that, to remember, not just this night, but let that be a source to flow from you, because movement isn't only something that happens internally. Movement sends us out into this world. Movement flows forth from us. And so I encourage you to get moving and join up with Brady. I am sure Carol would be delighted to help resource you so that you can write to our legislatures, both in the state and nationally, that you would support any work that President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris begin to do on gun safety, and let that movement, let your voice be heard in all levels to work to protect each of us, to have a safe place to live. That movement to become involved so that you and me, we together might be part of bending the moral arc toward justice. That's the movement we want to see in our universe. Justice for all people, safety for all people, that we would live and thrive every day. It's my prayer that as we move throughout the year to come, that as we gather for the 5th vigil, hopefully in person, hopefully at the congregation, in the sanctuary at First Congregational, we'd be honored to host again. But that when we gather for that 5th vigil, we would be able to celebrate legislative victories in the coming year, and that we would continue to build on a movement, on a momentum towards safety for all people. So I pray that that movement you feel now within you would be expressed outwardly in the days and especially in the year to come, and that the movement of the holy would continue to surround you and be especially with all those who are grieving the loss of a family member due to gun violence. So to close us out tonight, I want to have Mindy come back one more time and offer us a blessing, a musical blessing, if she would, please.
Thank you. This song was written by my friend John Miller. When I lay my head on a pillow down and I say a prayer for the world going round, you, my friends, will be on my mind. May the human race learn to treat each other kind. And I wish you peace, and I wish you well. Peace to the world, peace for ourselves. And I wish you love, and I wish you friends. Peace and amen, till we meet again. May each and every one do our very best. May our spirits soar till we earn our rest. Give an equal chance to every boy and girl. One love, one God, bless the world. And I wish you peace, and I wish you well. Peace to the world, peace to the world, peace for ourselves, peace for ourselves. And I wish you love, and I wish you friends. Shalom to you till we meet again. Bury all the arms in our children's time. Let us all stand firm for basic human rights. May we learn to feed all the growing minds. Let us work for justice and freedom in our time. And I wish you peace, and I wish you well. Peace to the world, peace for ourselves. And I wish you love, and I wish you friends. Namaste, till we meet again. And I wish you peace, I wish you will. Peace to the world, peace for ourselves. And I wish you love, and I wish you friends. Peace and amen. Shalom to you. Namaste, till we meet again. Thank you all so much for being here. And we'll see you next year, hopefully in person. God bless you all and have a lovely holiday season.